Welcome to the city of Huta-Grobno, a place that feels like it's drowning in thick, suffocating smoke. Its residents haven't seen sunlight for months now, and no one knows why. Maybe the clouds swallowed it whole, or maybe the city itself no longer wants to let it in. All around, grey panel houses and concrete towers, ghosts of a Soviet past. A tram rattles by, factory chimneys rise in the distance, and smoke lazily curls into the sky. Our protagonist also notices something odd. Fewer and fewer people are out on the streets. On a balcony lies a pile of old garbage, like traces of someone's forgotten life. Suddenly, from behind the balcony door, there is a strange sound. It almost sounds like a Morse code. Inside, the apartment looks like a photograph from the past. Rugs on the floor and walls, an old wooden cabinet, a lace tablecloth, a flower on the windowsill. But behind all that nostalgic coziness lurks something unsettling. Among the books, we notice wiretapping equipment, scattered everywhere, notebooks, loose papers, and cut-out newspaper clippings. It all gives off the unmistakable vibe of obsessive surveillance. Looks like we have got two options here. Either we have completely lost our damn mind, or we are some kind of scientist with clearance to classified shit. Well, I want to figure this out, so let's open our notebook. The calendar says it's in 1983. We have read Orwell, of course, so yeah, the vibes are instantly off. Judging by the notes, I have been keeping a diary from March to June. The papers are filled with transmitter blueprints, radio schematics, calculations, and cryptic footnotes. From everything we can piece together, a few things become clear. I moved into this building in March of '83. My job title is something like overseer. The previous tenant left behind broken equipment and an absolute mess I still haven't cleaned up. They say he disappeared under strange circumstances, and no one's seen him since. Sounds like a bad omen. While I was busy with repairs, I missed all the major news. Turns out there was some kind of an accident in the mines. Official sources are keeping quiet, but for some reason the investigation is being handled by the church. How the hell is the church connected to mining operations, you would say? Well, I have no clue. The notes also mention that a new guy moved into the building recently, and that I will have to do all the cleaning and repairing myself. Most of the household staff are sick. To verify the rumors about the mine incident, I built a transmitter that can pick up a restricted church frequency. And in May, I finally managed to decode their signals. It turns out the mining zone was flooded with a thick, dark substance with a sharp, metallic stench, almost like blood. At the factories, workers are kept in quarantine, and if they are not released within a week, they never come home. Newspapers report on worker unrest and the reopening of mining operations in the eastern sectors. Oh, and there is talk about a probe being launched toward Mars soon. Maybe it's all connected somehow. This all sounds way too suspicious. Let's tune into the radio and listen to the latest news. On the public channel, they say it's been 45 days straight of strange cloud cover hanging over the city. Same old advice: don't go outside. The air might be harmful. Thanks, Captain Obvious. But the secret church frequency, now that's more interesting. For some reason, they have got access to restricted factory sectors. How is that even possible? It's not the damn 15th century anymore. Then again, judging by the Pope's portrait on the wall, the church's influence in Poland is still as powerful as ever. From the broadcast, I learned that some of the agents were slightly injured, while 5 workers from the quarantine zone faced an unknown threat. One of them even died. And even they have no idea what exactly they encountered. All fascinating stuff, but our protagonist is getting hungry, and hunger is the enemy of investigation. The corridor leading to the kitchen looks like a nostalgic dream. Walls covered with old wood panels, a vintage vacuum cleaner just like Grandma had, and in the mirror, our character's reflection. The kitchen, surprisingly, is quite spacious. especially for an old one-room apartment. Outside, the same clouds, and on the wall, a strange crack. The protagonist notes it appeared a month ago, and it's been growing ever since. I decide to make pierogi, a true classic of Polish cuisine. On the wall hangs a small calendar with photos of traditional Polish soups for each month. The developer clearly recreated Polish life with love. You can feel the care and respect in every little detail. I move on to explore the last room, the bedroom. Another newspaper lies on the table, this one from April '83. It says the miners dug too deep and the mine was flooded with an unknown rust-colored liquid. Before going to bed, I decide to listen to the radio one more time and head to the living room. From the balcony, the faint crackle of power lines mixes with silence. An empty, humming void. People stopped going outside long ago. They follow the warnings from the news. On the church frequency, they report that the strange liquid keeps filling the mine's shafts, and its level continues to rise. Some workers even came into direct contact with it. Afterward, they were immediately transferred to the medical ward, along with the samples of that soup. Witnesses claim the surface of the liquid moves, as if it's alive. No one understands what is it. And, of course, things only get worse from there. Classic horror setup. Suddenly, the crack in the wall widens. There is no earthquake, but the sound is sharp and abrupt. I decide to check the wall from the other side. There is got to be something there. Strange though, our protagonist been living with this crack for a month and never once thought to check the other side of the apartment. The hallway is dark, like in every Soviet-style communal building. The next room down the hall is our office. But where the crack should be, there is nothing, no trace of it at all. But it's too late to think straight, so I decide to leave the investigation for the morning. On my way back, I bumped into a new tenant, Adam. As usual, he emerges straight from the shadows and nearly scares the living shit out of us with his sudden appearance. After a brief exchange, Adam asks if the plumber has returned. His light bulbs burned out, and apparently the maintenance guy extended his sick leave for yet another month. Suspicious. There are other tenants in the building too. The Klimek family, an elderly couple. The Bergers, perpetually grumpy neighbors who still have a January calendar hanging. And another tenant who died last month. His apartment's been empty ever since. Next door is Adam's flat. And the last door at the end of the corridor. That one. Behind it, something a bit strange. An old man named Gnida lives there, and no one talks to him. And judging by the noises, there is a good reason for that. On a small table near his door, a bunch of empty bottles and an old newspaper. It features an article about the launch of a power plant that supposedly uses energy from that very same underground source. Afterward, strange rains began to fall over the city, the same color as the substance from the mines. And on the next page, news about missing miners. One of them even looks a bit like Mr. Gnida. Maybe it's all connected, pieces of the same puzzle. I finally head to bed, but as always, there is no real rest for us. We wake up in the middle of the night. Everything seems quiet, except for some faint noise coming from outside. On the radio, there is an alarming broadcast. The church has begun evacuating citizens and transporting them to its so-called HQ. They claim they have found a source in the basement of one of the residential buildings. What kind of source? Nobody says. But judging by the announcer's tone, it's nothing good. Outside, muffled sounds echo through the streets, but from our balcony, I can't see a thing, so I decide to check the window at the end of the corridor. In the vestibule, we discover a new mechanic peeking through the door's peephole, and there, in the dim corridor light, someone stands by the window. I step closer. It appears to be Adam. He explains that the noise comes from the church's operation. They are taking residents from the neighboring building people are being loaded in groups into old trams. The whole thing looks far too organized, too emotionless, like someone is just crossing names off a list. At some point, a woman steps out from the crowd that seems to be in charge. She stops and stares directly toward our building. I can't see her face, but even through the glass, I can feel that cold, piercing gaze. It seems we are next. Adam tries to play it cool, but his voice betrays him. He is nervous too. We finish our conversation and head back to the room. I lie down to sleep, though honestly, after all that, no one could. Seems like nothing changed overnight. The hole hasn't grown any bigger, and somehow that's almost comforting. On the radio, they are saying most people are trying to leave the city, but transportation is a mess. There is always the option to walk to the nearest town, but that sounds like a goddamn endurance trial. On the church's private channel, there is a short bulletin about a fatal incident. Officials have decided that from now on, anyone whose apartment is marked as unusual will be forcibly relocated. Maybe I should report that weird hole in the kitchen, but our protagonist thinks otherwise. There is no point in panicking yet, he thinks. Still, figuring out what those sounds coming from inside it are wouldn't hurt. I grab our equipment and head to the kitchen to set up a recording device. But even without the gear, when you just listen closely, you realize the sound is the same as the one coming from that old man's apartment. Like these places are somehow connected by one single crack in reality. I make some coffee, wash the dishes. Small rituals of sanity before descending back into madness. But then I start assembling my setup. Everything's here, except one crucial thing: the cable. Without it, the whole plan is screwed. Through the peephole, I spot an old lady in the hallway trying to replace the janitor, since no one has shown up in weeks. Her husband is feeling unwell, resting in bed. Life goes on, even with the world falling apart outside. I enter the office. The place is a mess. The protagonist hasn't gotten around to cleaning because he has been busy fixing equipment. On the desk, there are Adam's documents. And an interesting detail: all rent payments have been suspended due to the city's situation. Well, convenient. I grab the needed cable and head to the door, but voices echo in the corridor, so I decide to wait it out by the window. And then she walks in, the woman from the church unit. She claims to represent not just the church, but some kind of scientific division within it. No, really, just think about that. A scientific division under the church. But fine, in this world, it somehow makes sense. Her goal is to confiscate recordings from our equipment. And naturally, they are asking tenants whether anyone has noticed anything strange lately. I have already decided I want to figure out things by myself, and the methods of these people don't exactly inspire confidence. So I choose to hide any mention of the crack. But the conversation turns uneasy. The longer she talks, the more she insists I'm hiding something. Still, since she has got no proof, I am free to go about our business, so naturally, I leave the office. The corridor is still busy. The crew is interviewing neighbors, sweeping the floors, taking notes, logging data. Who the hell are these people really? It's all very curious, but hunger wins our curiosity. So I head back to the kitchen, connect the wires, leave the microphone recording, and sit down to eat. While the recording runs, I decide to stretch my legs, walk through the hallway, clear my hat. Near the door, Mrs. Berger is smoking. She is blunt, even rude, but the conversation starts anyway. She works in the quarantine zone, in accounting, so she wasn't isolated. Her husband, though, was. He's one of the workers locked in there. The strange part is, there has been no contact since. No calls, no letters, nothing. She pretends she is calm, but her hand holding the cigarette is trembling. Then, back home, I check the radio. jot down a few notes. No news on the main channels either. And on the secret frequency, someone is playing chess? The city is dying and they're playing fucking chess. Alright, fine. I'll pass the time with my notes then. The sound recording from the hall finally finishes. It's time to check what I have got. And then things get weird. As soon as the first noises play through the speaker, everything starts to blur. The air feels heavy, thick. The walls begin to melt. I try to crawl toward the bed. Through the peephole in the vestibule, I see a figure. It's Mr. Klimek, the husband of that old lady, standing motionless by the door. He wants to tell me something, but I can't respond anymore. Barely, I make it to the bed. I fall asleep, or maybe I don't. Maybe this isn't sleep at all. It's a nightmare. The sky looks the same as the one outside my window, except now it's red, and the ground is covered in some thick, vicious sludge. In the distance, a door, the only one. And I think I understand. This door is where it all began. Maybe we were the ones who opened it. But instead of reaching for the door, I pull out a hand, or what's left of one, a chunk of flesh. When I come to, I'm suddenly in the kitchen, even though I went to bed, and everything around me is drenched in blood. But the strangest part, the hand is back. My hand. Or is it? I take a shower, but the blood won't wash off. It's not my hand anymore. It just decided to be mine. No pain, just a faint itch. Outside, some drunk lunatic is screaming into the void. The city doesn't change, even when everything else is losing its mind. And then, a knock on the door. Shit, who's that? I open it, and standing there, on the threshold, is the old man from that cursed apartment, Mr. Gnida. To say he doesn't look alive would be putting it mildly. How the hell did the church patrols let him slip by? Why wasn't he taken into quarantine? He looks like the devil, and talks like one too. Even his dialogue seems painted in red, as if someone wanted to make it clear. This man is pure evil. He complains that his wiring is shorting out, and asks for help. I rub my hand to hide the horror as best as I can, and follow him. On the way, I spot Mr. Klimek by his door. He seems to be feeling better, even stepped out to read the paper. On the hallway shelves, flyers from the church are scattered everywhere. Now they are like apocalypse ads. We strike up a conversation. Klimek says Gnida got fired from the factory recently, and from the look on his face, he's pretending he's not exactly unhappy about it. Seems like Gnida might be one of those who caught the infection in the mines. Or maybe he is one of the miners listed as missing in that newspaper clipping. Enough chit-chat, time to go see what's up with Gnida's wiring. Well, it's crackling, sparkling. The wire is either snapped or chewed through. Well, whatever. I gotta grab the toolbox from the office. Wait, hold on. What the hell? Adam's documents. Someone stole them off the desk. Fantastic. Great timing. I grab the toolbox and head back. Time to fix this mess. Not that I am officially part of the maintenance staff, but since there is no staff anymore, guess it's my job now. How did they even let this bastard walk out the mines without quarantine? He is clearly sick, and not just physically. From his apartment, there is this whispering, like voices crawling through the pipes. Maybe this guy is the reason everything in this building started falling apart. Anyway, I'll return the towels and go home. I am already feeling like crap. And of course, it happens again. Every damn time I step out of a room, someone just has to jump out of the dark and scare the shit out of me. Well, usually it's Adam. At least he's useful, brings news, spreads rumors, a sort of apocalypse radio operator. By the way, Adam says that old man Gnida hasn't been seen in a while. doesn't even go out for food anymore. How the hell is he still alive? It's been a month. Adam says he thought the old man was already dead. The smell from that apartment sure suggests so. But no, apparently he is still walking around. A walking corpse. Just perfect. I go to check the radio. They are reporting that a bloody incident just happened. On my street. I rush out to the balcony and see it. The sidewalk soaked in blood. A section of the wall splattered with it too. There is a man lying on the ground. The earth itself looks cracked open, and the power lines are tilting. Looks like this is the beginning of the end. But what can I even do? None of this depends on me anymore. And on the official news, silence, of course. Alright, time to check in with the neighbors, see what they think about all this. In the hallway, I run into Mrs. Berger. She is as helpful as ever. All curses and accusations. The embodiment of pure charm. But honestly, you can tell she is terrified. She yells to hide it, not because she is angry. Grandma Klimek asks me to leave, not to escalate the argument any further. Fine, another day lived, though calling it lived feels like a stretch. Something is strange. I don't feel hunger anymore. Adam once said that old man Gnida doesn't eat either, and I guess I am following his footsteps. Very bad sign. The sound from a hall has gone silent, but from Gnida's apartment, that same ominous music keeps playing. I hope it's just my imagination. On the radio, they share new information. The tremors are coming from the directions of the factory and the mines. It's not the earth cracking. Someone underneath is waking up. On the church's private channel, they say that the madman who was screaming outside was completely red. They took him in for study. Physical contact with him caused skin burns. Perfect. A contact plague straight from the hell. I swallow a painkiller and go lie down. But I swear, someone is watching me. How the hell did I forget to lock the front door? I rush into the hall. Nothing. Just cold air. Great. Now I'm screwed. The bandage is off. There are traces everywhere. Someone knows. Someone has been here. I lock the door. I decide to seal the hole in the kitchen too. I don't even know why. Just to have some illusion of control. I push a table against it. Looks pathetic. It won't stop whatever is inside. Then I try to fall asleep. The darkness isn't just dark. It's thick, liquid, suffocating. The place where I sleep has become a void. No reflections, no sound. From the balcony, nothing. Only a red voice whispering through the radio. Not human. Maybe it's Satan himself. So that's why the church has been creeping around. They know something is clawing its way out. The music on the air turns solemn, church-like, almost triumphant, as if someone just declared the beginning of the end of the world. The hallway, a black abyss. The kitchen, darkness. And in the bedroom, on the bed, something red, pulsing, with tendrils. That's not me anymore. I have been replaced. Or maybe I am the one who came instead. The fourth day begins. Everything around me is soaked in crimson, as if the whole world has been dunked into a filter made of flesh. My vision is blurry. My arm, now laced with dark veins, like the skin is peeled away and left something alien underneath. Someone's knocking on the door, but in this state, yeah, no visitors today. I glance into the mirror. I'm clutching my arm, but that is not what catches my attention. It's the face. No glasses, and the eyes. The eyes look just like the Gnidas now. Dark, hollow, two bottomless pits. The reflection doesn't recognize me, and I don't recognize it as well. I try to rewrap my arm, but it won't work. The body itself resists. The kitchen's empty. The hall is gone. So is the table. It's like it swallowed itself whole. Still not hungry. The radio hisses. The church's frequency is dead. Only a faint, eerie tune playing. Another knock. On the doorstep, Mrs. Klimek. She's pale, tear-streaked. Says her husband still hasn't woken up. Begs for help. But I can't go out. The game won't let me. The protagonist just stands there, presses against the door, listening. She cries, and I don't open. Then when it hits, this is why Mrs. Berger was angry. I have been pretending to care, but in the end, I only care about myself. All that's left is the radio. A new broadcast. An anonymous source has reported a suspicious resident. Church authorities are already en route to your building. There is a heavy knock, and the screen fades to black. The end. Obviously, it was that bastard Adam who ratted us out. The churchwoman had already taken his documents earlier. He's got debts, problems. It's easier to sell out a neighbor than to face your own shit. Or maybe he just saw me that night, when I forgot to lock the door. In the ending, everything collapses. From Gnida's apartment, blood, or that same rust-colored sludge, pours into the hallway. Lights flicker. The protagonist steps out onto the balcony. The sky looks like the nightmare one. Turned red, pulsing. Down below, creatures roam the streets. Elongated, twisted things, covered in tendrils, with gaping holes where the eyes and face should be. And I think, was that the hole that I put my hand into? And is that thing now inside me? The screen freezes. Credits roll. In the corner, a question appears. Mocking, taunting. Was your choice the right one? Well, there is not much choice here. Just one, really. We go back to the office, to day 2. This time, we do report the strange hole in the kitchen to the investigators. They are not thrilled that we have been listening to the private frequency and using illegal equipment, but instead of arresting us, they offer cooperation. Yet, the ending is the same. The apocalypse still reaches everyone in our building. No one is evacuated. Credits again. And there I sit, staring at the screen, thinking, was that really supposed to be the good ending? Because all we really did was save our own skin. We didn't help the Klimeks. We didn't save the neighbors. We didn't even do our damn job, because technically, I'm the building overseer. My duty is to take care of people, not sit in my room listening to the apocalypse on the radio. But maybe that's the point. Maybe that is what it all is really about. That even the end of the world doesn't make us any better. And so, my dear viewer, you have just heard the story of a little-known indie horror game called Funeralopolis, or Last Days. Well, actually, you will not find it on Steam under that name, since right now there is only a free demo available on itch.io. Of course, the fact that we are dealing with a demo and not a full release makes it a bit tricky to properly judge the game. First off, the endings feel a bit rushed. Now, I get it. The genre and tone of this game imply a certain degree of mystery, where you are supposed to interpret things in your own way. But here, there are just too many questions left unanswered. For example, what happened to other residents of our building? Could I have saved someone besides myself? And is saving only your own skin really a good ending? What happened to the elderly couple? Could we have helped them if we would rub the arm and step outside that final day? What about Mrs. Berger's husband? Is he safe in quarantine? Is that strange old man actually dead? It's clear from the start that he is infected. And what about us? Did we die in the end? Or did that unknown substance simply decide to live through us? Why exactly does the church take the protagonist in the good ending? Do they evacuate others there as well? And do they really treat the infected? Or simply get rid of them? Why can't I report the infected old man to the church? I have been hearing noises from his door since day 1, and Adam clearly smells the stench. Will there ever be a descent into the lower floors? So many questions, and the game doesn't give a single definitive answer. The description of the upcoming full version doesn't exactly inspire much confidence either. there is little mentions of expanded choices or answers to the lingering mysteries, but on the developer's website, there are some new concept artworks and locations, as well as mentions of new cutscenes, so maybe this does hint at a significant expansion of the story. Now, to the positives. The developer's approach to fear is worth praising. There are almost no cheap jump scares. Instead, the focus is on this all-consuming atmosphere of hopelessness. And I'm a huge fan of that kind of a horror design, as I mentioned in my video about the Silent Hill 2 remake, which, by the way, you should totally check out if you are into that series. The atmosphere here is fantastic. You get this intoxicated blend of environmental decay, government cover-ups, missing people, strange discoveries, and those damn holes in the walls. Even within the apartment building, every character feels off in their own unique way. Even the sweet elderly couple, the husband's illness remains completely unexplained. Though, to be fair, it could just be age, a simple heart condition. The game never tells us otherwise. Many of the characters in this game are openly hostile toward our protagonist right from the start, which only adds to the heavy, oppressive mood that hangs over everything. The characters themselves look unsettling too. That uncanny valley effect is in full force here, and the synthetic, text-to-speech style voices make the whole thing even creepier. Sound design in general deserves a special praise. Every noise feels like it's crawling under your skin, pressing, rustling, scraping, especially that secret church frequency on the radio. It's not exactly pleasant to listen to, but damn, it works perfectly for the atmosphere. Now, let's get back to the negatives again. First, the obvious one. The game is short. You can finish it in about an hour. And honestly, in a game with such a masterfully built atmosphere and intriguing twisted narrative, you just want to stay longer in that world. Second, that one single choice that determines your ending. There are only two outcomes, one of which happens almost immediately. And third, as far as I know, most games of this kind have at least one core gameplay mechanic, around which the story and the surrounding madness unfold. Think of Voices of the Void, for example, where the routine of maintaining the station lulls you into a false sense of safety, making every paranormal event feel genuinely terrifying. By the way, let me know in the comments if you would like to see a similar video about Voices of the Void. Or better yet, drop your suggestions for other lesser known atmospheric horror games like this one. I would love to check them out, and who knows, maybe one of them will get its own video here. To sum it all up, despite all the flaws I mentioned, I have absolutely no regrets about the time I spent with this game. So if it piqued your interest, I highly recommend trying the free demo on itch.io, or at least adding the full version to your Steam wishlist. And with that, I think it's time to wrap up the story. Huge thanks to everyone who watched the video all the way through. Your support means a lot to me. If you enjoyed it, all I ask is that you leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps. On this channel, I try to highlight unique and interesting projects in the format of long-form essays, so I would love to hear your suggestions for future videos in the comments. Believe me, I read every single one of them, and I love replying to you. And just know, no matter when you're watching this video, I'm already working on the next one. And if, by some chance, this was the last time you heard my voice, thank you for spending that time with me. Once again, thank you so much for watching and for your support, and I will see you very soon in the next video.